The design process. A process? Why can't I just build stuff? The design process is a series of steps used to create a great design or product. What starts the process? Started by a problem, the design process falls into action. Design brief is a summary of the design details and expected results. Its main components include outlining the reason for the design project. Specifications. This is a list of all details needed to design and construct the project. It contains lists of limitations, requirements, constraints, and materials to be used. Criteria for success. Once the specifications are complete, you are then able to create a criteria for success. These are steps followed throughout the design process to ensure a quality product. Research. Understanding the design brief lets you now undergo research. This allows you to gain inspiration, develop ideas, understand what works and why, and gather information. Have you ever seen or tried to design something and it miserably failed or didn't successfully work? Did it not meet the design brief? This could be because of bad or no research taking place. This is a vital part in the design process. Research. There are two types of research which must be completed for best results. Primary research. This is research which hasn't been found before and is usually conducted yourself, gaining the information directly from the source. There are two types of primary research. Exploratory research, non-specific research in an attempt to keep an open mind and explore possible ideas, example open-minded interviews. Specific research. This focuses on problems identified in exploratory research. This research is precise and is specific to a problem, example formal settings with a structure like an interview. Examples of primary research are surveys, interviews, and questionnaires. Secondary research. This is research that has already been gathered, completed, and organised by others. It is much quicker and far cheaper to usually obtain. Example, online information, articles, and books. Examples of primary research include books, Google, publications. Research. The end product, heavily relying on research, the design, functionality, and constraints are significantly important in this process. Accessibility, economic, technical, cultural, resources, social, sustainability, and safety are some of the main constraints that can jeopardize any design. Attention should be drawn to these aspects when researching. Some examples include accessibility. Accessibility in design is the aim of making designs accessible for those with all kinds of abilities, especially disabilities, to use, operate, and perceive the design easier. Example, ramps for wheelchairs instead of just steps. Economic. Economic factors in design relate to the financial prospect throughout the design process to whether or not the product is financially worth undertaking and for the cheapest and best outcome. Example, you would plan out the material and try and use as much as possible, reducing waste, maximising profit. Technical. Technical factors in design usually refers to the technology side of the process. This can be helpful through the technological advancements, creating faster, easier processes, or can constrain these processes. Some of these technical factors include performance, safety, maintenance requirements, reliability, and databases. An example, what you may wish to design may be on a software your computer can't run. Research. Cultural. Cultural factors in design have a large impact for a successful product. Culture shaping the beliefs, attitudes, environment, and ideologies of groups shows great diversity, especially through the designs in everyday life. This impacts how products are made as they need to suit the culture. Example, furniture used between the Australian and Japanese culture is far different. Australians sit at tables where Japanese tend to sit on the floor, so you wouldn't make a high table for the Japanese culture. This shows the importance and constraints through culture. Resources. Resources in the design process relates to the items that can and are used in the design process. Resources can include the material used in or to create the design project. Although resources can pose many constraints to the availability, cost, environment, quantity, quality, etc. of the resources available. This is a major factor as it can determine what is used, done, and the processes behind the product. Example, if you wanted to make our table out of African blackwood, you need to consider the cost, thousands per kilo, and the fact it's an extremely rare timber, hence the availability is extremely low. Thus, you probably wouldn't want to use this resource for a low budget. Social constraints in the design project relates to the attitudes, behaviours and the attributes for the creation of the design in the community. These behaviours can provide opportunities and/or constraints within a community through the implementation of projects. The main idea is asking, does it work in the community environment? Example, designing a chair from a lower class city and style to be placed in a posh city. The constraints shown here are the community won't accept the chair as it's not their style. Research, sustainability. Sustainability in design relates to the product's life cycle and effect on the environment. Depending on the use, application and intended performance of the design affects the product's sustainability. Example, using natural resources like timber from plantation looks after the sustainability of the environment. Making a product out of timber for outdoor use, it may need to be continually treated so it doesn't get weathered, or use a more hardy, sustainable timber that can compete with these conditions to increase the sustainability of the product. Safety. Safety in the design process is a major element to be taken serious, although occasionally it's not. Safe equipment, processes and procedures are needed to prevent risk or injury to ensure safety of all and yourself. Example, for some, safety isn't a concern or can be difficult, like using ear muffs, but eventually you'll get hearing loss. Research. Simply put, research is the ideation and building blocks behind the design, identifying possible solutions to ensure its functionality and correct use. Developing solutions, ideation and modelling. This involves sketches of possible ideas, designs and inspiration, starts with lots of rough drawings to more detailed. Let ideas flow through no matter how crazy they are. Finally, you can mix and match them to create the best design. There are many different types of drawings that can and need to be completed in order to design and create your product. Some of these include exploded, technical, rendered, pictorial, three-dimensional, orthographic, sketch, perspective and section. Developing solutions, ideation and modelling. Just before we hit the good stuff, modelling is a good technique to use just before the construction stage. This can find faults, gain an idea of sizing, see how it functions, and see how it looks. Construction. Finally the fun stuff. This is where all your planning, designing and solutions are created into the physical end product. Hold up, there's still one more step. Test and evaluate. For this you test your design to see if it matches the criteria and solves the problem. Evaluate the effectiveness of the design and ask yourself, what would you do differently next time, how to improve it. And finally, you will have a successful design. Just remember, it's an ongoing process.